Hey, this is Cory with the College of Charleston School of Business Student Success Center to talk about resume. I call it Resume 1.0. If you have a resume that you're not making changes to regularly, you're doing something wrong. Resume should be updated constantly. You should always be aware of what you include, and you should always be conscious of how you can add things to it. So Resume 1.0 means this is the baseline. These are the things you have to have. And right now I'm going to talk to you about your contact info. Now, contact information is absolutely critical. It has to be right. I've heard from employers who tried to get in touch with a potential employee who had the phone number transposed. They put two numbers in there backwards. And that's going to be really difficult for an employer. And you can bet that if they can't track you down easily, they'll move on to the next candidate. So that contact information is very important. To that end, your phone number. You've got to decide which phone number you're going to use. Now, most people are getting away from a landline and you're leaving your cell phone number. I understand that. If that's the case, make sure your voicemail is professional. So if it's the funny voicemail that you leave for your friends, you should change that recording so it's something professional. What about your email address? What does that say about you? Your email address should also be professional. If you're using something that you set up in middle school, you need to get away from that. Of course, the student email address that you have is always fine, but at some point you'll graduate and move on. So you have to decide when you want to transition to that more professional sounding, whether it be Gmail account, Yahoo, doesn't matter, but something that's going to be professional. Address. Address is important in as much as you want to put something that still protects your privacy. So I recommend city, state, zip is enough. Even city and state is fine. No need to put that street address on there. When you apply for a specific thing, you'll of course have that in the application, maybe even the cover letter. But for the resume, especially if you're just handing these out at a career fair, drop the street address. All right, what else do you need on there? What about your LinkedIn profile? Do you have a LinkedIn profile? First question. Second question, if you do, how are you using LinkedIn? Is it something you set up because it was a class project and a requirement and you've never done anything else with it? That's not how to use LinkedIn. It is a social media network, professional social media. So make sure if you include your LinkedIn profile on your resume that it's polished. That profile is looking like something that's going to impress an employer. And an easy thing you can fix is the URL address. LinkedIn, for some reason, has a default that's a bunch of random letters and numbers after your name. You can drop those off and just go to a simple URL that's got your name. You may have to add a letter or a number or two because there's somebody else with your similar name, but it looks a lot better on the resume. Don't use your LinkedIn account on your resume if you don't have a good professional profile. But if you're using LinkedIn professionally, it should by all means be included on your resume. What else on your contact information? Well, I'd say that's about it for the basics of your contact information. When you move, when you change addresses or phone numbers, be sure and change that on your resume. It's really embarrassing when you apply to something and they're trying to contact you and they can't reach you. That definitely will not be a good impression. More info to follow on some other things you need on Resume 1.0.